Shabbat Shalom. I hope that you are safe. I hope that you are warm. I know that anyone in this area has no water, really. The water from the taps, if there's any at all, if your pipes hadn't burst, is minimal. And then you know that you have to boil it. It is hard to believe we're in a situation like this right now. You know that for a year, almost a full year now, we have been meeting online instead of in person. And now, tonight at least, I'm glad that we get to meet not in person, but we get this opportunity because it's really cold out there and the roads are dangerous. So I'm glad we have a way of worshiping that doesn't make anyone have to go out into this horrible stuff. I think we only have a few more days of it. I think it will get better soon. I don't know what's going to happen after that. I think that roads will have more potholes and cracks, and we'll wait to see how long it takes for us to deal with our water situation and our pipe situation, and all that ice and snow has to go somewhere, and it has to melt, and there'll be flooding. And I'm a little bit nervous about the consequences, but I do believe that we will be able to recuperate from this soon. I pray that we will. I'm going to answer your burning question. No, I did not get a haircut, but it's finally long enough that I could pull it up and out of my way. So it was a good idea, because one of the other consequences, and I'm glad that we're not together, is without enough water, we haven't been showering for days. So one of the reasons why I'm glad I'm not actually physically in person with you today is it's embarrassing. I'm staying warm. I'm trying to stay warm. My nose is freezing right now, but I'm wearing lots of layers and at least 3 pairs of socks and staying warm, and I hope that you are too. I was planning on doing a number of things during this service that was going to be about Black History Month. We did last year as well, and I may mention that a little bit later, but today I want to talk mostly about the situation, this current week situation, about what's going on in our personal world. The good news is that we have Shabbat, and although it doesn't make it any warmer to have Shabbat, there is a warmth to Shabbat, and I hope that you get to experience that. I'm looking forward to it, that the glow that the candle gives off may not give off a lot of heat, but there's warmth to it, and it warms my heart. I am wearing a talit, partially because I lead the service, so I wear a talit, but it helps keep me warm, I'm not going to lie. I'm glad to have it so that I can stay a little bit warmer while I'm talking to you. But for now, let us try to take a moment in time, leave our worries outside in the cold, and see if we can inhale some joy, exhale some trouble. Take a deep breath. Let it go. Try again. Let it go. This scene where you have found me is actually looking out over my next door neighbor's house. When the red-breast robin comes bobbing along, where I came from in New York, it always meant the beginning of spring. And this is an actual picture of something that happened this week. And so I have hope. And I hope you do too. I'm going to talk about this guy in a little while. But first, I hope that you get inspired by the words of our service. And I hope that you have a Shabbat Shalom. I'll see you in a moment. As these candles give light to all who behold them, so may we give light to all who behold us. As their brightness reminds us of the generations of Israel who have kindled light, so may we, in our own day, be among those who kindle light. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech ha'olam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat. Let there be joy, let there be light, let there be peace, let there be Shabbat. The seventh day is consecrated to the eternal God. With wine, our symbol of joy, we celebrate this day and its holiness. We give thanks for all our blessings, for life and health, for work and rest, for home and love and friendship. On Shabbat, eternal sign of creation, we remember that we are created in the divine image. We therefore raise the cup in thanksgiving. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, borei pari hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kedeshanu b'mitzvotav, v'ratzavanu, v'shabbat kodsho, v'ahavahu v'ratzon hinchilanu, zikaron lema'aseh v'reshit. Ki hu yom techila lemikra kodesh, zecher litziat mitzrayim. Ki vanu vacharta, v'otanu kidashta mikol hamim, v'shabbat kodshecha, v'ahava uv'ratzon hinchaltanu. Baruch atah Adonai, mekadesh ha-Shabbat. L'chaim.
Likrat kala, Haneh Shabbat nekabla, Lecha dodi. Likrat kala, Haneh Shabbat nekabla, Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom u'mevorach. Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom u'mevorach.
Source of light and truth, creator of the eternal law of goodness and of the impulse within us for justice and mercy, we pray that this hour of worship may be one of vision and inspiration. Help us to find knowledge by which to live. Lead us to take the words we shall speak into our hearts and our lives. Bless all who enter this home sanctuary in search and in need, all who bring to this place the offering of their hearts. May our worship here lead us to fulfill our words and intentions with acts of kindness, peace, and love. Amen.
גם יחד, הנה מה טוב ומנעים, שבת אחים גם יחד, הנה מה טוב, שבת אחים גם יחד,
Many are the generations of Israel, and in every age we have sought the living God through Sabbath rest and worship. This time and place hold the power to increase our joy in the eternal. O God, even as we seek you in the home sanctuary, help us to know that your glory fills all space. Make us understand that you are with us at all times, if we but open our minds to you. We feel the presence of your Spirit in our homes and on our ways. We see the beauty of your creation in mountain, sea, and sky, and in the human form. We hear you in the silence of our own hearts, speaking the truths the heart knows. May we be your witness to the world, your messenger to all the earth. May we show forth your image within us, the divine spark that makes us human. יתגדל ויתקדש שמי רבה, בעלמא דברה חירותי וימליך מלכותי, בחייכון וביומכון ובחיי דכל בית ישראל, בעגלה ובזמן קריב ואמרו אמן. יהי שמי רבה מברך לעלם ולעלמי עלמיה, יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל, שמי דקודשה בריחו לעלמין כל ברכתה ושירתה, תושבחתה ונחמתה דמירן בעלמה, ואמרו אמן. ברכו את אדוני המבורך.
ברוך אדוני המבורך לעולם ועד.
As day departs, as the dark of night descends, we lift our eyes to the heavens. In awe and wonder, our hearts cry out, Eternal God, how majestic is your name in all the earth. A vast universe, who can know it? What mind can fathom it? We look out to the endless suns and ask, what are we? What are our dreams and our hopes? What are we that you are mindful of us? What are we that you should care for us? And yet, within us abides a measure of your Spirit. You are remote, but oh, how near, ordering the stars in the vast solitudes of the dark, yet whispering in our minds that you are closer than the air we breathe. For you have made us little less than divine, and crowned us with glory and honor. With love and awe, we turn to you, and in the dark of the evening, we seek the light of your presence.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך. למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם Adonai Elohechem Emet. You shall love your eternal God with all your heart, with all your mind, with all your being. Set these words which I command you this day upon your heart. Teach them faithfully to your children. Speak of them in your home and on your way, when you lie down and when you rise up. Bind them as a sign upon your hand. Let them be symbols before your eyes. Inscribe them on the doorposts of your house and on your gates. Be mindful of all my mitzvot and do them. So shall you consecrate yourselves to your God. I am your eternal God, who led you out of Egypt to be your God. I am your eternal God. In a world torn by violence and pain, a world far from wholeness, a world waiting still to be redeemed, give us, O source of good, the courage to say, there is one God in heaven and earth. The high heavens declare your glory. May earth reveal your justice and your love. From Egypt, the house of bondage, we were delivered. At Sinai, amid peals of thunder, we bound ourselves to your purpose. Inspired by prophets and instructed by sages, we survived oppression and exile, time and again overcoming the forces that would have destroyed us. Our failings are many. Our faults are great. Yet it has been our glory to bear witness to our God and to keep alive in the dark ages the vision of a world redeemed. May this vision never fade. Let us continue to work for the day when the nations will be one and at peace. Then shall we sing with one accord, as Moses, Miriam, and Israel sang at the shores of the sea.
Ya la 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 la, ya la la la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la la la, ya la 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 la. מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נהדר בקודש, נורא תהילות אוסף אלה, נורא תהילות אוסף אלה. יא לה 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 לה, יא לה לה לה, יא לה 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 לה, יא לה 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 לה, יא לה 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 לה, יא לה לה לה, יא לה 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 לה.
Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Eternal God, help us to walk with good companions, to live with hope in our hearts and eternity in our thoughts, that we may lie down in peace and rise up to find our hearts waiting to do your will. We praise you, Guardian of Israel, whose love gives light to all the world. O God of Israel, may our worship on this day help us to grow in loyalty to our covenant with you and to the way of life it demands, the way of gentleness and justice, the path of truth and peace.
שמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ביני ובין בני ישראל אותי לעולם, אותי לעולם, אותי לעולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ, ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. וביום השביעי שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש, ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. אדוני שפתי תפתח ופי יגיד תהילתך. Eternal God, open my lips that my mouth may declare your glory. Baruch אתה אדוני אלוהינו ואלוהי אבותינו ואמותינו, אלוהי אברהם, אלוהי יצחק ואלוהי יעקב, אלוהי שרה, אלוהי רבקה, אלוהי לאה ואלוהי רחל, האל הגדול, הגיבור והנורא, אל עליון, גומל חסדים טובים וקונה הכל, וזוכר חסדי אבות ואמהות, ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם, למען שמו באהבה, מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן. ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם ועזרת שרה. God of Israel, you are the hope of all the generations, the ones that are past and those yet to be. You are our God. You are the first. You are the last. You are the only one. You made the earth and brought us forth to dwell in it. You called Abraham and Sarah to your service, their children to bear witness to your glory. You formed us to be a covenant people, enduring as the stars in heaven. Eternal God, you are the shield of our people, our everlasting light. Your strength is with us always, O God. Your compassion does not fail. Winter winds are your messengers, summer dew, a sign of your grace. You reach out to the fallen and comfort the afflicted. You give heart to the captive and breathe hope into those who lie in the dust. Praise be the one whose breath is our life. Baruch atah Adonai, Mechayeh Hakol. You are Kadosh, holy. Your name is Kadosh, holy. And those who strive to be Kedoshim, holy, declare your glory day by day. Baruch atah Adonai, Ha'el HaKadosh. We praise you, Eternal One, the Holy God. Ritzeh, Ritzeh, Ritzeh Adonai Eloheinu be'amecha Yisrael u'tefilatam be'ahavat tikabel u'tehi leratzon tamid utehi leratzon tamid avodat Yisrael amecha. Baruch atah Adonai she'otecha levadecha b'yira na'avod she'otecha levadecha b'yira na'avod. You are with us in our prayer, in our love, and our doubt, in our longing to feel your presence and do your will. You are the still, clear voice within us. Therefore, O God, when doubt troubles us, when anxiety makes us tremble and pain clouds the mind, we look inward for the answer to our prayers. There may we find you, and there find courage, insight, and endurance. And let our worship bring us closer to one another, that all Israel and all who seek you may find new strength for your service. Eternal source of good, we give thanks for the numberless gifts and blessings that fill our days, for life itself and its endless variety, for all that sustains body and mind, for love and friendship, for the delights of the senses, and for the excellence of your Torah, which deepens our life and enriches our days. Teach us, God of wonders, to work for a just and compassionate society where all may share your gifts in the joy of freedom.
Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim L'Olam. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim L'Olam. Ki ata hu melech Adon L'kol HaShalom. Ki ata hu melech Adon L'kol HaShalom. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim L'Olam. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim L'Olam. V'tov be'enecha levarech et Amcha Yisrael b'kol עת ובכל שעה בשלומך. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim L'Olam. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim L'Olam. Tasim L'Olam. Tasim L'Olam.
Grant us peace, your most precious gift, O eternal source of peace, and give us the will to proclaim its message to all the peoples of the earth. Bless our country that it may always be a stronghold of peace and its advocate among the nations. May contentment reign within its borders, health and happiness within its homes. Strengthen the bonds of friendship among the inhabitants of all lands, and may the love of your name hallow every home and every heart. We praise you, O God, the source of peace.
It is now time for us to say the prayers that are in our hearts and listen to the still small voice that answers. You may read the prayer that is on the screen or whatever your heart prompts. Yihiu leratzon.
May the words of my mouth
Imre fi vehegyon libi
and the meditations of my heart
lefanecha
be acceptable to you.
Lefanecha.
Be acceptable to you.
Adonai Tzuri.
God, my rock,
Tzuri v'gohali.
my rock and my redeemer.
Adonai Tzuri.
God, my rock,
v'gohali.
and redeemer.
Our hearts and our prayers now turn to all who are ill, recuperating, dealing with consequences of confinement, or coping with the recent death of loved ones.
O God, in our hearts we name those who are facing illness and pain. We join our prayers with the prayers of all who love them. Give them renewed comfort and courage. Strengthen in them the healing powers you have placed within us all. Guide the hands and hearts of those who are entrusted with their care. May the knowledge of your love and ours give added hope to them and to their dear ones. May they find even greater strength because our prayers are linked to theirs. Baruch atah Adonai, Rofeh HaCholim. We praise you, eternal God, the source of healing and health. El na refa na lahem. God, please heal, please them. El na refa na lahem. God, please heal, please them. Mi sheberach avotenu mekor habracha leimotenu. May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say Amen. Mi sheberach imotenu mekor habracha lehavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say Amen. It has become our tradition to also bless and honor those who are our first responders, our heroes. On behalf of our military, police, firefighters, EMTs, doctors, nurses, and veterans, our frontline people, we say, Mishaberach avotenu ve'imotenu, may the one who blessed and protected our ancestors guard all those whom we have entrusted with the responsibility of defending our freedom, protecting us, or healing us, in this country, in the land of Israel, and everywhere they've been called to serve. Give them courage to succeed and strength to persevere. May they return home safely. Let us say, Amen.
Shabbat Shalom. So, because we couldn't get a delivery of flowers this week, I was planning to use these flowers as our flowers for Shabbat. They are actually this thick. They're flat. They're supposed to look like they were generated for a computer. My children gave them to me. My sons gave them to me as a present one year, and I love them. They're cheerful, and they remind me of computers, and I think that they are, and they'll last forever, and I like that in a flower. And I love the fact that my kids thought about me enough to give me a gift like this, because I treasure it. And I thought that you might treasure it too as a way of having an alternate set of flowers for a time when it was too cold to be transporting and too dangerous to be transporting flowers. The Torah portion this week is about giving. It was about being able to give to be able to build the tabernacle, which was kind of our portable sanctuary, our portable worship space, that if you build it, then God will dwell among us. I think that everybody, what we wouldn't give right now to be in our space, our permanent space, and I think we're getting very close. But for now, and especially in a weekend like this where it's really cold and really dangerous out there, I am glad that we have this personal space and that we give of our time and we give effort to be able to be together. And I know what we're giving up to be able to be doing this, but that's what we like to say, that sacrifice is, it's not about what you give up, it's about what you give up. So we are taking this moment and turning it into a holy time. Like I can take this thing that is not really flowers and I can make it feel like flowers. And because it was a gift, I can make it feel like, it feels to me like even more special. I also like the fact that it's a variety of flowers and that they are all smiling. And it reminds me of what this world needs to be right now. This month is Black History Month. As we mentioned last week, it's also Jewish Disability Awareness Month. There are many things in our world that need attention, that need to be better. And I appreciate that we have time to think about that. Last year I had a guest speaker. This year I had some videos that I was planning to show you from the Reform movement. But I thought that, as I mentioned earlier, that instead of talking specifically about that and specifically only about Black history, that we talk about our place in history and how we take care of the world, how we turn into a bunch of flowers that are smiling at each other and in the same pot, because we're all in this together. This year, a year ago now, was the beginning of the pandemic. We weren't really sure exactly what was happening towards the end of February. And within just a few weeks, we were in lockdown, and we have been trying to hunker down ever since. This week, I keep saying this, but this week gave a new meaning to hunkering down. The fact that we needed to stay in our houses. I'm going to predict, and I'm not good at knowing the future. I'm not even supposed to know the future according to Torah, but I'm going to predict that because this week people stayed away from each other because they stayed home and stayed safe, it's going to send our COVID numbers down significantly. It's going to be a hidden blessing from all of this mess. And I, for one, am looking forward to that, because the longer we stop infecting each other, the faster we get to be together. So I'm looking forward to that. I wished it didn't happen this way. This is not my favorite way. I grew up north. This is not the same. I've never experienced anything like this before. But what I have experienced and what I do appreciate is the fact that it makes us think about each other. I know that a lot of people were checking up on each other, and it was hard to be able to, like the Torah portion talks about giving, it was hard to be able to give. It wasn't easy to get to other people. It was helpful to be able to speak to each other and share ideas and how do you do this? How do you brush your teeth when you don't have water? And what do you do and how do we deal with these things? It was very helpful to be able to give and receive advice. But what I was hoping was, we were in a pandemic, we were fighting together, all of us, the whole world was fighting against one common enemy. And I really thought that it would bring the world together. And I was heartbroken to see that people still were not treating each other nicely. And now we have a situation like this where we are forced to be separated and stay in our homes and try to fend for ourselves. But even with something like this, and we are isolated, we are still helping each other. I think that's what we are here for. And I also think that when we're in a situation like this, where everybody who's listening to me, I'm sure possibly right now, everybody in the Shreveport area, everyone in Texas, everyone in a greater 4-state area, and then the people up northeast even are getting storms. But everybody now knows what it's like to go without water, without basic necessities. And it's not because our government doesn't care. this happens once every 100 years. There's no way that they should responsibly prepare for something like this, because, as the mayor said in his conference this week, it's not necessarily a good idea if we don't expect this to happen more than once every 100 years. It's not a good idea for him to be spending money on snowplows when he should be spending money on the things that we usually need. And that seemed like a responsible answer until we need snowplows and until we need a better infrastructure in our pipes so that the water mains don't break and that doesn't deplete our water system. We need to start thinking about that. And hindsight, that 2020, hindsight's pretty good. I'm going to not lie to you. One of my favorite memes this week was when it said that, forgive my French, but it said, and it's not French, forgive this word, but it said 2020 was hell. And in 2021, hell is freezing over. And we are dealing with this. And I know I sometimes try to deal with things with humor. There's nothing funny about this, but we're all in this together. And just like at Yom Kippur, when we fast for a day, and in that one day we feel hunger pains, and it makes us think about the people who are hungry often, and it makes us motivated to give. That's what we do. We are commanded to take care of each other. And so right now, when we're cold and we have no water, we think about the people who are less fortunate than us, whose houses are even less warm than ours, who have fewer resources, and we feel like it's our responsibility to try to take care of them. And hopefully it motivates us to take care of each other because we're all in the same pot together. So I bring us back to this scene. This is my neighbor's house. I'm looking out over the fence to my neighbor's house because right over here, just below where my finger is, he had a bird feeder earlier in the week. And earlier in the week, he could put feed in it, and it attracted lots of birds. And I peeked out my window. Most of the time, my curtains are drawn and my blinds are closed, as I was told that would help keep the heat in the house. But I peeked out, and I saw all these birds feeding kind of frantically, trying to get to that bird feeder. And every once in a while, I would see a situation where it looked like there were some birds that were keeping other birds out. And that made me sad because I felt like we're all in this together. You can share. There was a lot of food in that feeder, and everybody should have some. And then all of a sudden I saw something interesting. There was a little bird, and I wish I could tell you what it was, but instead of, most of these were darker color birds, some of them had red on them, some of them had other colors, but then there was this one bird that was kind of grayish and tannish, and it was smaller, and it comes in and it finds a spot where all these birds are sitting around the edge, and it finds a spot. And when it got there, all of the bigger birds ran away, flew away. I couldn't believe it. And it starts eating, and then all of the other birds came, and the other birds didn't scare this little bird away. The other birds ate with it. And then all of a sudden, all of the birds, all different color birds, all started eating together when this one bird, I don't know what it said, I don't know what it did, I don't know what kind it is. Maybe I've got a video of it so I can show you, because I was kind of mesmerized and taking pictures of the ice and the icicles and the snow and the things. But that impressed me. I loved that image of the world for us, is that when there are resources, that we find a way to make sure everybody is happy. There's that wonderful story that I know I've told you about the children who were told that if they're standing over here and someone put a bucket down there filled with apples, and this was a very hungry village, and they said, whichever one of you kids gets to that bucket first gets to keep the whole bucket, and you can feed your family. And the guy says, ready, set, go. And the kids looked at each other, and they held hands, and they all ran together. And the guy looked at him and said, why did you do that? I told you could have had all of the apples to yourselves. So you could have taken it home for your family. And the kids said, Ubuntu. Ubuntu meant that we're all in this together, and everybody gets now. And so then I remind you about this guy. He sat and watched. We put out some food too, and our food is right down here on this side of the fence. And he was pecking away at our little food. My secret is it was fish food. I had fish. There are no more fish. And I had all this food left over. And I looked it up, and it said, it's not like ideal food for a bird, but it's good food for a bird. And if they can eat it, they'll be happy to. And this guy did like to eat the fish food that I put out there, and watched. I did not see the robin go over into that pile of birds over there, but I did see him. He came to visit and made me feel much more hopeful because, as I said, where I grew up, when you see the red-breast robin come bobbing along, then it means that spring is not so far away. It's supposed to be the first sign of spring, and I always believed it. I can't believe that I live in a place now where the birds fly down too in the south, but I still have hope that red-breast robin means that we're going to have some spring. There will be thaw. It's coming soon. We will be able to dig out of this mess, and hopefully we will remember what it takes to be there for each other, what it was like to be needy and to think about those who are more needy than we are. And so with that, the inspiration for Shabbat, I hope that you have something warm to eat, something to drink, something to keep you cozy, and that you get to appreciate some of this extra soul that Shabbat gives us, and some inspiration that you get from Shabbat. Stay warm, stay safe. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. Thank you for joining us for our B'nai Zion Shabbat service online. You're welcome to participate in our other events. Please go to b'naizioncongregation.org for details about services, learning opportunities, other programs, and more. Donations were made to B'nai Zion Sisterhood Flower Fund in loving memory of Randy Collier by Deb Collier, in loving memory of Francis Reuben Cressman by Mandy Selber, in loving memory of Lillian Pearlstein Selber by Mandy Selber Jr., in loving memory of Annette Weiss Selber by Mandy Selber Jr., in loving memory of Paul Manassas by the Lewis and McGovern families, in loving memory of Betty and Ralph Siegel by Susie Robeson. Each week after the flowers are used for Shabbat services, the sisterhood delivers them to someone special. Please remember that the deadline to submit donations for flowers is 2 p.m. Wednesday of the week you would like to have it read. Donations can easily be made online or by mailing or calling into the office. Stay warm, stay safe, and I hope you all are doing well. Shabbat Shalom.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם. ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא.
You spread out the heavens and establish the earth. You are our God, there is none else. In truth, you alone are our sovereign God, as it is written. Know then this day and take it to heart. The Eternal One is God in the heavens above and on the earth below. There is none else. Eternal God, we face the morrow with hope made stronger by the vision of your deliverance. A world where poverty and war are banished, where injustice and hate are gone. Teach us more and more to respond to the pain of others, to heed your call for justice, that we may bring near the day when all the world shall be one. On that day, the age-old dream shall come true. On that day, O God, you shall be one, and your name shall be one. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא
ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד.
Our thoughts turn to those who have departed this earth, our own loved ones, those whom our friends and neighbors have lost, the martyrs of our people, and those of every race and nation whose lives have been a blessing to humanity. We honor the memories of those who died this year in the military, police, firefighters, healthcare, and we add supermarkets and restaurants and everyone who has been our first responders. We honor the memories of those who died in floods and fires and those who died of COVID-19.
To lose one life is as if we've lost an entire world. May we not lose sight of the enormity of the loss of so many individual lives. We honor the memories of these people who died this year.
As we remember them, let us meditate on the meaning of love and loss, of life and death. It is hard to sing of oneness when our world is not complete, when those who once brought wholeness to our life have gone, and naught but memory can fill the emptiness their passing leaves behind. But memory can tell us only what we were in company with those we loved. It cannot help us find what each of us alone must now become. Yet no one is really alone. Those who live no more echo still within our thoughts and words, and what they did is part of who we have become. We do best homage to our dead when we live our lives most fully, even in the shadow of our loss, for each of our lives is worth the life of the whole world. In each one is the breath of the ultimate one. In affirming the one, we affirm the worth of each one whose life now ended, brought us closer to the source of life, in whose unity no one is alone and every life finds purpose. However brief may be our time on earth, O God, you endow our fleeting days with abiding worth. We now recall the loved ones whom death has recently taken from us.
We remember those for whom we are still in the Shloshim period, who died in the past 30 days. We remember George Rothkopf, Paul Aaron, and J. Bach Lehman. We remember congregants' parents who died within the past year. We remember Tommy Crowder, Sophie Lipo, Robert Talbert, Joseph Paris, and Artis Robinson.
And as we remember those who died at this season in years past, we take them into our hearts with our own. Those for whom we're observing Yortzites this past week include
Ruth Lieber Anisman, Donna Arenstein, Anita Lee Blaufus, Jacob H. Bodenheimer, Louise Weiss Bronner, Randy Collier, Walter James Cousins, H. H. Jack Fleischman Jr., Marlene Foreman, Max Friedman, Edith Gladstein, Bertha P. Goldsmith, S. F. Gordon, Paul Manasseh, Jacob A. Mandel, Geraldine Meyer, Rebecca R. Murov, Emmanuel Phelps, Blanche L. Reyes, Celia Shalinsky, Ralph Simon Siegel, Betty Lipson Siegel, Alfred Selber, Annette Weiss Selber, Marcia Sinclair, Stephen Alcus Threefoot, Doris Gordon Udis, Marjorie Wiseman, and Emily L. Weil.
Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, be'alma divra chiruteh v'yamlich malchuteh, b'chayechon u'v'yomechon u'v'chayeh d'chol beit Yisrael, ba'agala u'v'izman kariv v'imru Amen. Yehe Shemeh Rabbah Mevarach La'alam Ulalmei Almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh v'yithadar v'yitaleh v'yithalal Shemeh Dekudsha Barich Hu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tush bechata v'nechemata da'amiran be'alma v'imru Amen. Yehe shalama rabba min shemaya v'chaim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru Amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru Amen. May the source of peace bestow peace on all who mourn, and may we be a source of comfort to all who are bereaved. Amen.
Ein Eloheinu, ein Kadonenu, ein Malkeinu, ein Moshienu, mich Eloheinu, mich Adonenu, mich Malkeinu, mich Moshienu. Nodel Eloheinu, Nodel Adonenu, Nodel Malkeinu, Nodel Moshienu, Baruch Eloheinu, Baruch Adonenu, Baruch Malkeinu, Baruch Moshienu. Atahu Eloheinu, Atahu Adonenu, Atahu Malkeinu, Atahu Moshienu.
It is truly a blessing for us to be worshiping together, even if we're separate. We're getting good at this business of having to be separate, but feeling like we're together. I look forward to a day when we're actually potentially in the same room, but even when we're not, and for those of you who may never be able to be in the same room together with us, I'm glad we're here worshiping together. Yivarechecha Adonai v'yishmerecha. May God bless you. May God protect you. Yair Adonai panav elecha v'chuneka. May the light of God's face shine upon you, be gracious to you. Yisa Adonai panav elecha v'yasem lecha shalom. May God's face be lifted up to you, because we know God has something that God looks up to you about. And may God grant you peace. Shabbat shalom.